Hey guys, Connor here from Kamerastore.com, and I'm joined by Nico from Camera Rescue. Today we're continuing our top 10s of 2022. We took data from search results and from our own advertising to determine what cameras you guys searched for the most during 2021. We're using that data to predict 2022. So let's just jump right into it. We're doing point and shoots compact cameras today. So the top one, which maybe you could have guessed if you're on Instagram, is the Olympus MJU II, otherwise known as the Stylus Epic in North America. This is just, you know, what people think of when they think of the point and shoot, or the hyped up, you know, popular, trendy point and shoot. A 35mm f2.8 lens, super compact, lightweight body, clamshell that protects the lens when you're not using it. It's also all weather, so it has some light weather sealing, so you can get it in the rain. You can play with it when it's not super nice out and not worry so much about it breaking. So it's a great design, super compact, and yeah, just a great choice for a pocket camera.
Yeah, and I think one of the reasons it's probably so popular on the searches is it's been one of the most entry-level price point for quite a few years. I mean, they have escalated in price a lot in the recent years because of that, people searching for them. It is, like you said, extremely small. It's Olympus. MJU is just, you know, the name that people search for. So I feel like MJU, and we do have another one on the list, is basically 99% of the times. Even the zooms sometimes get a lot of searches and sales because people see the price of these and they're like, oh, wait, there's another one that's half the price. And it's the zoom, which are also very good cameras and more expensive back in the day.
Yeah.
But this one has spot metering, which is something a lot of people don't know. And it's a really elegant and slim camera. I mean, elegant in the sense of like not too fungly nowadays, but it still isn't the prettiest. I mean, having the Contax in the Leica in here is very dissuading from the aesthetic, but it is very nice and very small.
Yes, like you said, it is not maybe built to the same quality as the Contax and Leica options. If you've ever held them, they're made of metal. This is very, very light and very plasticky. These were sort of entry-level cameras at the time. I mean, they sold millions and millions of them at a much lower, like you said, price point than the zoom ones, which, you know, at the time, the zoom ones were more flexible and offered more features, and this was just a prime lens.
Yeah, so. I mean, people bought these for their holidays, for having as a household camera, and you wanted a zoom. So when you went on your holidays or your cruise, you were like, oh, let me zoom on the island. You had a zoom, and they were more value than the fixed lenses, and that's why I think we don't have any zooms on the list. But yeah, the MJU, also known as Stylus, like you said, is, you know, easily one of the most popular cameras, and that's why probably it sits on the top.
Yeah. And it's also continuing that design trend with the clamshell that Olympus started back with the XA.
Yeah.
So.
Which is not on the list, even though we wanted to put it because it's a rangefinder.
Yes, the original X8 is not technically a point and shoot with aperture priority and a full manual focus rangefinder. So
yeah,
we're going with autofocus type of cameras this time.
And second on the list?
Yeah. Another very well-known compact, the Contax T2. This is just feeling it after feeling the MJU, you understand why the price is so much higher. This is a absolutely premium in every sense point and shoot with a Carl Zeiss 38mm f2.8 sonar lens with control of aperture, multiple flash modes. You even have manual focus here on the top with a dial, so it's not maybe the most fun thing to do, but there you go. Yeah, you have more manual control, and it's just, you know, premium in every sense, like I said. So these cameras command an extremely high price point these days because they are the absolute top tier of compact design. They're released in 1990, and you see basically after this came out, companies like Nikon and Leica both come out with their own sort of version of this, this high-end point and shoot, because Contax proved that there was a market for it. And all of those cameras, again, still command a really high price point today. Just, you can put them in your pocket and they feel sturdy, robust.
Yeah, there are not many point and shoot cameras that let you change some settings. Most of them are pretty, you know, foolproof for the user. This one, like you said, has some features. You can even do like exposure compensation, which lets you push film in a way. It's like cheating on the DX code. And you have that flash. You can actually choose like the flash yes, flash no, which is one of the features that I think is most important in point and shoots. Plus, it's been basically on all social medias through like, you know, celebrities shooting with it, which always makes things be more popular. So like probably Contax T2 is the camera of the celebrities, and that has shown in the results. People really want them. They've gone up in price a lot, and they're quite pocketable, but still sturdy and, you know, brick-like, and they have the cover on the lens. Like, it's a pretty nice camera. They do fail and sometimes break, so that's why also there's less and less in the market, and prices just tend to go up because of demand and supply. But yeah, I would not be surprised. I'm not surprised that it's number 2, basically.
No, and that's something that people say about every point and shoot, is that they break. The electronics, you know, a lot of them weren't meant to last 40 years or weren't designed with that in mind. And a lot of these high-end ones kind of get a bad reputation for that, but I don't think that generally they fail at a higher rate than any other camera. But
there's just less of them, so probably, because, I mean, like you mentioned, the Olympus MJU II, there's, you know, millions or at least hundreds of thousands of them out there. As if the T2, maybe they made thousands of them. So, you know, that makes that difference, and, you know, makes them also possible to be repaired in some degree, which are not easy. Any point and shoot that can be repaired basically is a Russian roulette, because you don't know what you're going to find when you open them, and they're not so easy. So yeah, T2 on the top, second place.
Yeah. So going back to Olympus, we're gonna go just to the MJU I. The number 3rd on our list. It came out in 1991. This is the Olympus MJU I. So you can see a lot of the same design cues as the MJU II, with the clamshell design and again the prime lens here. This is the MJU I Limited, so that's why it's got this super reflective silver coating. Super cool. Yeah, this is sort of, you know, the bridge between the really popular XA series and then the super popular MJU II. This is sort of halfway between them a bit.
Yeah, and halfway the price too, which is probably why a lot of people are searching for this camera. Is whatever price you find on the 2, the 1 is usually half, except for some limited editions that are a little higher. But yeah, it's really nice. It has a 3.5 lens. I actually prefer the 1 than the 2. I feel like the focus is better, and I feel like it does things better in general, but it is a very, very nice camera, and still today is usually under, you know, like I said, half of the MJU II and like a fifth of the Contax T2. So it is a very, very nice camera to have in your pocket whenever you're out and about. Yeah. Or, you know, if you want to even take it seriously, it's also a very nice, serious camera.
Yeah, they're great. You can put them in your pocket, and the build quality of this is still good. It's not waterproof like the MJU II, but it's not, you know, such an expensive product like the T2 or some of the later ones that we'll get to that you might feel scared to take it out.
Yeah.
This is still something that you can carry in your bag every day. And the prices are going up because people are recognizing how good they are, but it's still, I think, at a price point that's reasonable.
Yeah, you can also find them at, you know, shops and like, you know, secondhand stores and thrift stores for very, very, very low amounts. So you keep your eyes peeled at Olympus MJU I or Stylus, and you will be very happy probably. And if it turns on and you feel like it advances the film and so on, which it's a good idea to always carry a couple batteries. Yeah. And maybe a dud roll, which you can test, is gonna buy you a great camera for quite a little money.
The CR123 batteries, they're super common with point and shoots. If you're going out looking for them, that will let you test them. And then, yeah, basically, you know, they turn on, the flash fires. You're more than half of the way there.
Yeah.
And again, I think the zooms for these are also underrated. Yeah. The zoom versions are cameras that you can get that do 80 to 90% of what this can do at half the price.
Yeah, it's also what they're like. The prices are rising because every camera is basically rising in price, but the zoom is, very fun camera and adds that extra thing that you can zoom in. It does not have like a 3.5 lens. Usually has a less luminous lens, but still with a flash at a party or holidays is going to be really fun.
Oh yeah, an excellent choice.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the next camera on our list is the Yashica T4.
Number 4.
Yeah,
T4.
number 4, the T4. And this is your personal camera, and you use this quite a bit.
That's why it has gaffer tape.
Yeah, it's got the tape over it. It's got film in it, so I won't fire it. But yeah, the Yashica T4 is basically Yashica's answer to the Contax T series, which, if you know, both Contax and Yashica were, you know, subsidiary brands of Kyocera. So you've got the Carl Zeiss lens on this as well, just in a plasticky body. It's still well built, but it's not metal. And you lose some of the manual features that make the T2 and T3 so special, but you still get that Carl Zeiss Tessar lens. And that's definitely the drawing point of these.
Yeah, I
Yashica
think,
T
I mean, the Yashica T4 is being very famous by some photographers in the past. Still is an amazing camera to basically flash your subjects. It does have a fill-in flash feature, which is really nice, compensates really nice for like backlit subjects. I've taken a lot of pictures of my kids with that, and it's really just always nails it. Makes that sky to be just a little bit darker, and you know, your image, your subject properly illuminated. And it's small. They have been pretty affordable in the past. Now they're picking up a little more speed. They're probably priced a little bit over the MJU II, but they are a little better. They have the Carl Zeiss, which people do recognize as being slightly better, even though that's arguable. But yeah, very nice. The lens comes out. Also, one thing that I would note, if I can hold it for a second,
please.
which I love about this, it's one hand operation. So point and shoots, you're walking around with, if you're like me, a father of 2 kids, and you want to take a quick picture of your kids, you have one hand, you turn it on, and you're shooting. Not all cameras are like that. Like the Contax T2 is slightly annoying for that, because yes, you can like twist it, but like it's harder. Then the MJU II and 1 also are very easy, but I'll talk about a different one when we get to it. But there's a few others that I don't like that. One-hand operation to me is a big benefit of point and shoots. Also, if it's a party camera and you're holding a drink, you know, you don't want to be using your left hand to turn on the camera. So big feature, cool, nice camera, great results. Definitely don't doubt if that's the camera you're interested in. And I own the T2 and the T4, so I use the T4 a lot more.
Yeah, that's an excellent point. I mean, just using these right now, you can open these with one hand, but you have to kind of claw it in a weird way. And then you might risk dropping it, which if you're investing significant money into a compact, you don't want to drop it. Because a lot of these won't, you know, maybe won't survive a drop if they hit concrete or something.
And and like, this is the top searches basically in hits. So like, I feel like Yashica, the T2, the T2, T3, T4, they're all really good cameras, the T5 too. So it's understandable that, you know, they're on the top up there, and they're just, I would say, behind Contax in quality, and build quality especially. As
they were designed to be.
But talking about, you know, brands that are good, what's the next one? Oh, wait, next one, that we don't have it here.
So the next one is the Contax T3, which is the follow-up to the T2. Major differences, it's smaller. It has the same lens, the 38mm f2.8 sonar, so excellent design. I believe it's assumedly faster in most senses. The T3 came out in 2001, so it's quite a late film camera compared to the 1990 T2. So they sold this for quite a while. So yeah, it's smaller, faster.
It is faster focusing, and it's quite smaller, but they also were made in less amount because of the age that they the date they came out in 2001. They used to be quite affordable because, you know, most cameras were not that expensive a few years ago, but they have picked up a lot, and as there's way less of them, they have significantly increased in price. A Contax T3 nowadays, if you find one, is going to be around the price of like a Leica rangefinder camera with a lens. So take that in mind before you invest a hefty amount of money into a point and shoot, because they are cameras, like you said, you could drop, or you could basically fail because they're old and have electronics. So I loved my T3. I own one too, actually for my wife, but it was a camera that we didn't use that much, and we sold it, and I regret that because I should have held on to it.
Yeah, just for the resale value, if nothing else.
Just for that.
But it's one of those cameras that, you know, you can get 99% of the function for half of the price, so.
But it's a really nice
Yes.
camera. But yeah, that was number 5.
Yeah,
so
that's
number 6,
5.
talking about nice brands.
We have the Leica Minilux, which is, like I said earlier, sort of Leica's answer to the Contax T2. So this came out in 1995, so 5 years after the T2, and holding it and using it, it's really similar. I mean, you have the aperture control here on the top, and you also have the manual focus dial just like on the T2. So you can really tell who Leica had their sights on when they made this camera. And it's an excellent shooter. I would say my biggest gripe with it is how small the viewfinder is. But otherwise, it's really solid. It has a 40mm f2.4 Sumarit lens, which is just excellent. Flat, corner-to-corner sharpness, just excellent across the board.
Yeah, you made an article about the point and shoots from Leica, I think a year ago or so, so I would highly recommend. We'll probably leave it on the description below. But yeah, I think one thing people don't realize with point and shoots is usually they're semi-wide and 35 mil, 32 mils, you know, when you're shooting, and this one has a 40, so it has that extra separation and a 2.4 lens, which you don't usually see. They're usually 2.8, 3.5. So I think it has quite a lot of features, plus the Leica name, which always demands a lot of attention. So people searching for Leica point and shoot will find this camera, and the Minilux just already sounds like, you know, good, but it is really well built, and I'm not surprised. I mean, they didn't make a lot of point and shoots, Leica, but the ones they made are, you know, pretty cool and search for sure.
Yeah. Again, like the T2, absolutely premium quality in every sense. I think, yeah, that having a normal lens, and the T2 has a 38, so that's almost normal. But having a normal lens is just, it's a big advantage if you like that. So
a little bit
yeah,
more separation, less, you know, everything in focus kind of thing.
Which kind of helps you take advantage of that faster aperture as well.
Yeah. And so, what do we have next, Connor?
The next one is another one that we don't have. It is the Nikon L35AF, which is Nikon's first point and shoot, released in, let me fix that. Released in 1983. It was Nikon's first compact autofocus camera. It has manual ISO control, so with that you can, you know, manually change the film speed, and you can do basic exposure compensation. There are earlier versions that go up to 400 ISO, and then a more desirable one that goes to 1,000. The price is actually different, depending on if it's the 1,000 ISO version. People do want those more because it just gives you more flexibility.
I mean, if you're like bulk loading your film or shooting certain films that don't have DX code, it's pretty cool that you can like change manually ISO. That's one feature that I love about certain cameras that can do it, like the T2, even though it's not exactly setting your ISO, it's cheating with the exposure compensation. I think that's pretty fun. Plus it's Nikon, which is a, you know, renowned name. It's kind of like a bit chunkier because it's older. It's 83, I think is the date that it came out, and it's just feels a bit more of a camera. But yeah, it's we don't have it because they pretty much you know, go away pretty fast, and they're not that many around.
No, they're not super rare, but yeah, they don't stick around here because they are still, I think, at a price point where people see them, even with our price premium from our testing, checking, cleaning, all that stuff that we do. I think they're still at a really competitive price. And with a camera that, you know, is electronic, you want to be sure that it works properly, and that's what we offer here. So.
And then we have one that we do have.
Yes, the Yashica T3, so if you want to grab that. Another Yashica here, so the Yashica T series in this one also has film in it. This is yours as well. This is clearly a bit older than the other Yashica we had. This came out, oh, I don't have the date, earlier than the Yashica T4. It's the one before it. So it has this small clamshell design here. I think the big draw of the T3 specifically is that it's a 2.8 lens, whereas the other Ts are 3.5, Carl Zeiss Tessar designs. So a little bit faster, a little bit more light, And you also get the waist level finder here.
Yeah, which some T4s have. We didn't mention that, the little scope finder. So if you're familiar with like a Hasselblad or a TLR, like a Rolleiflex, you usually look from the top and you can see what you're shooting. The T3 and some T4s, and I think T5 probably too, have a little scope, which is like a mini cheat looking thing, like a submarine, almost like a periscope kind of style. So you could actually put the camera, look down, and shoot without maybe being seen, which we don't recommend. Don't take pictures of people without them knowing. But it's a cool feature, lets you shoot lower angles. And this is one of the ones that, like I mentioned, I don't like so much because I need my left hand to turn it on.
Yeah.
So I kind of leave it on all the time if I'm shooting with it. But it is a really nice camera, performs really nicely. It is a little slower because of the age. The AF and the noise of the motor usually tells you that, you know, it sounds a little worse. But yeah, absolute great performer. Also around half the price of the T4, T5. Yeah. So don't sleep on it. There's also the T2 and original T, which are a little older and fail quite a bit. But yeah, great camera.
Yeah, let's move on to the next one.
That's all we got to say.
So next we have a quite interesting member of the point and shoot crowd. This is the Konica Pop. So these are ultra simple, bare bones, bare minimum, not even manual advance. No autofocus as well. These are fixed focus. Essentially just like a disposable camera with a nicer Hexanon 38mm f4 lens and these lovely colors. And that's sort of what set them apart is they're Konica Pop and they pop with color. They have pops of color. There's red, blue, pink, yellow, I believe, green, tons of different colors of these. So they're excellent collector's cameras. There are probably many people who are out to build the whole set.
Yeah, probably. And they have you have the option to change the ISO. It goes from 100 to 400, and I'm reading this because I don't know about this camera. Yeah. But yeah, it's a cool camera. It's small, lets you advance manually, which means no motors, which means less failures. Yep. And yeah, I think it's pretty nice to see Konica on the list, but we do have, I think, one more Konica. One
more, yeah. So these you can change the ISO, and that is a very basic aperture control, basically, because this has one shutter speed.
So it's like the Olga that has like different size apertures.
Yeah, so you can see, I mean, I'll show it to you here, that it is literally closing, if you can see that.
Yeah.
So there's a two-bladed aperture in here that opens and closes as you do this, and then you fire the shutter. It really is meant to be used with the flash, as most bottom-end point and shoots are. But these, have a cult following because of the color. Yeah, collector's cameras, really interesting. So probably why they're on the list is...
And it's surprising that they're on the list because they are, I would say, from my experience, not so popular, but I guess people do like that.
Yeah, they're collector's cameras.
Maybe
not the best users. Yeah, they're popular.
And the last one?
A real camera from Konica. No, I'm just kidding. This is the Konica Big Mini F, and we're using it to represent just the Big Mini range in general. They were released in 1990, and they had a bunch of different models released for the next decade and a half, basically until the dawn of digital, and their merger with Minolta. These are high-end, mostly prime-equipped point-and-shoots built to a higher quality than most of their other stuff. This one has a 35mm f2.8. Most of them, or some of the more popular ones, have 3.5 lenses as well. Yeah, they have a really serious cult following.
Yeah, they being sort of the underdog of the point and shoots. Like, people didn't really know about the Konica Big Mini. There's a few models, so people didn't know which one maybe would be the best one. Like, when you think of the Olympus MJU, you're like MJU I, MJU II, that's simple. Or the Contax T2, T3, that's pretty simple. But like when you're thinking of the Big Mini, the designation is sort of confusing. I mean, myself included, I always have a hard time knowing which one's the good one. Happens similar with the Canon Primas. It's like the Canon Primas, you never know which one is the good one. You got to Google fast if you're trying to buy one. But yeah, I feel like the Big Mini has been like cheap and also not so popular. Also, the name Konica, as it hasn't carried on,
Yeah.
also usually figures out that people are not searching so much because, you know, Contax has a pretty big name because, you know, it still has a big name even though it also died out. But Olympus still's around, and, you know, there's other brands that you find more. But like Minolta is something that, you know, Konica Minolta, sorry. Is a little bit, I say Minolta, but it's Konica and Konica Minolta. Both brands are pretty, you know, not so searched and wanted for.
They're not around anymore.
Yeah, and yeah, this is a great little camera. Plus, super small, sharp, good, and pretty much usually pretty affordable.
Yeah, they span the entire range of prices. This is one of the more expensive ones. But yeah, there are many that for a long time, and probably still today, are cameras that if they break, you don't, you know, have to take out another mortgage. You can replace it. So
yeah, there would be around, like, I always thought about the Big Mini and the MJU to be similar, but the Olympus has kind of gained more traction in the past few years. As for the Big Mini, has kind of stayed still pretty low. So yeah, if you're looking for a point and shoot, it's not a bad investment for sure. And like you said, it won't really make that much of a, you know, investment for you. And if you do, the point and shoots are meant to be used and abused, and they will end up failing, but this won't sting so much.
yeah.
So yeah, number 10.
So that's the final entry into our list. So that's been the top 10 point and shoot compact cameras of 2022, based on user data, search results, and ad data from our site here. So thanks for watching. We'll be back with another top 10 soon. I've been Connor, here with Nico from Camera Rescue. See you next time.
Bye.